Hi everyone, I'm Tanaaz from foreverconscious.com and this is your weekly energy forecast for the week of October 13th. So October 17th, we have this very potent Aries full moon. It's potent because, well, it has this incredible fiery energy around it falling in the sign of Aries. We always look to the ruling planet to see, how this full moon is going to take shape. So that'll be Mars. Mars is the natural ruler of Aries. And Mars is very active, very busy, very alive, very volatile, and also in its shadow phase. Mars is going to be going retrograde in December. So on top of this, the planet Pluto is very active as well and making alignments to Mars as well and the moon, and creating what is known as a little, well, not really little, but as a T-square, which is a configuration in astrology that tends to indicate tension. And the tension builds so much that we have to act. So in a way, it's kind of good, because if we never had this tension building, we may just be kind of floating along, never really having to act on anything. But under this full moon, the tension is building. Something snaps. Something has to give way. This is a very action-based full moon. So it kind of feels like all the changes, all the transformations, all the things that we've been going through with the eclipses, with, all the other planetary energy, it feels like something is going to shift. Some movement has to happen, and this full moon is going to make sure of that. It is a very action-based full moon. There is a lot of tension and tension and intensity around this full moon. We could see that in the world stage. We could just be feeling that in our own lives. Things that have been at boiling point are going to bubble over. It's one of those kind of full moons where everything's quick to rise, but also quick to fall. So actually, it's a really good time for resolution, for getting things up and out and resolved and done with. There's a lot of energy under this full moon to come to a head, but to also come to some sort of resolution and to be done with it. Full moons are completion points, and even though things might not exactly be completed under that full moon, it's creating everything that's needed to get to that completion point. So even if things feel tense, even if something is quick to rise, know that there is resolution on the way, that there is completion on the way, that you can have this wrapped up, because there's a lot of that energy that goes along with this full moon too. It may just take, for that full moon to kind of pass, the intensity to dissipate, and then you're able to kind of get to that resolution point. It may not happen straight away, but it's there for us. So a really interesting full moon. It's going to be interesting to see what manifests this week, what comes up. It is, because it's a very action-based full moon, I think it's a great outlet for us is movement, dance, exercise, getting out there and moving our bodies. If there's something that we want, go for it. If there's, an issue or a situation you've been dealing with, take a step in a direction. Take some kind of movement. This is a very movement, action-based week, especially leading up to and just right after that full moon. So bring your focus and your awareness to action. How can you take action? Aries is also the sign of the leader and stepping up and kind of taking charge. Kind of, if you want something done, do it yourself. You're the leader of your life. You get to direct the way things go. You are in charge. There's very much that energy around this full moon for us too. So use it, work with it. Use it to your advantage. And as always, to help support you under these energies, I have a ritual designed just for this full moon. It's the Aries Full Moon Ritual. You can find it at foreverconscious.com, and I will also pop a link below. And I also go into the astrology if you want to dive deeper into the energies that are around this full moon. What is really interesting, and if you follow other astrologers, everyone is probably talking about this Mars-Pluto full moon kind of energy, this T-square that I mentioned. It kind of dominates the airways of our week. But there's another little subtler energy that I couldn't help but notice. Chiron. Chiron is also in Aries, and Chiron is very close to this full moon, influencing this full moon. And Chiron is, of course, you've probably heard me talk about it before, is the wounded healer. And what it represents is those wounds that kind of stick with us, you know, the really deep wounding that all of us come into this life, you know, maybe destined to move through, or are sometimes even born into types of wounding, you know, from our parents or our upbringing, our ancestry. This wounding, Chiron helps us to take it and to channel it into a portal of power. Chiron was abandoned, the story goes, he was abandoned at birth, unloved, unwanted, but he took that wound of abandonment and he was able to channel it. And when he channeled it, he found his path as a healer, teacher, psychic advisor. He became the healer. So all of us with our wound portals, if you will, have the potential to take them and allow them to channel healing powers, teaching abilities, intuition, anything that's kind of sort of part of our purpose and part of our higher, you know, our higher frequency. Chiron can help us to do that. So I think as well, whatever is going on for us, whatever difficulties and challenges we are facing, Chiron is here to kind of remind us that it is this wound, this struggle that we are moving through that can help us to channel a portal of power, healing, teaching, understanding, whatever it is. You know, we can channel it into something beneficial. So something else to kind of keep in mind as we move through this week. How can you take those wounds that are stuck to you and channel them and create portals of power out of them, and to remember that our wounding can be fuel for the most beautiful future. So something to think about as we move through our week. All right, I'm going to pull a card. If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm taking a card from my Cosmic Astrology Oracle deck. I still have some left if you would like to get your hands on your own deck. They're on Etsy, so feel free to check that out. And I am going to shuffle up the cards. Let's see what we have. It's full moon week, big, bold energies. What do the cards have to say for us? Okay, I'm going to take this card because it kind of jumped out. Well, isn't that perfect? Chiron, the Wounded Healer card. And I know this card's come up before, and it's interesting because we were just talking about Chiron. So I kind of already talked about it, but let's read what the booklet says just to kind of double down on this message and to really feel into what Chiron is trying to share with us at this point in our year. The asteroid Chiron is a centaur and a mythical creature that is half man, half horse. Chiron was an unwanted child, abandoned at birth. He was left to fend for himself. His wounds of abandonment and lack of love were the fuel that saw him rise into a wise healer, teacher, and psychic. Chiron represents the deep wounds we come into this life with and inherit along the way. These are the forever wounds that seem to etch themselves into the fabric of our being. Just like Chiron, we have the power to use our wounds as portals of healing, compassion, and wisdom. Chiron teaches us how to live with our wounds and channel them into gifts. This card indicates it's time for you to take this journey. Some wounds cut too deep to ever leave us, but their marks can lead us to step into a new purpose. I don't want to read all of it because I have kind of already spoken about it, but A couple of little takeaways from this card. Approach your healing journey in a new way. You are a powerful healer. That's another manifestation of this card. Recognize you can be wounded but still lead a beautiful life. Stop trying to fix things and instead accept. I actually think that's a really big takeaway from this card under this fiery Aries energy. Stop trying to fix it. Sometimes we can't fix things. How about instead we accept and see where that takes us? I think that is a beautiful offering of this card and kind of aligns perfectly with that full moon energy. It also says, honor how much you've grown from your wounds and allow your wounds to guide you to the next step. So hopefully there's something in that card there for you. I think if nothing else, take away that with this fiery Aries energy, with stuff boiling up, with things brewing, with stuff coming to a head, how can you bring some acceptance rather than trying to fix? Maybe there's a solution and it feels easy and that's cool, but how can you bring acceptance and then see where that takes you? I feel like that's kind of the message. All right. You all have a wonderful week. It's a big week, lots of intense energies. Maybe you're feeling a little extra tired this week. I know I am. So look after yourselves and I'll see you next week. I'm Tanaaz from foreverconscious.com. Thank you so much.